want people who are committed because those are the ones that you're going to be able to impact more powerfully. But at the same time, you need to be able to own that value because you are able to achieve outcomes that very, very few people can do because you're targeting it at the right patient with the right set of kind of priorities for themselves.
Welcome to the Super Clinic Project Podcast, where we take regular clinic owners and turn them into cash-based multimillionaire entrepreneurs. Warning, if you're a doctor who listens to this podcast regularly, you will make millions of dollars. Do not listen to this podcast unless you want to be a successful clinic owner who helps thousands of patients achieve their health goals and adds more money than you can imagine to your bank account. You've been warned.
Welcome to the Super Clinic Project Podcast, where we give you the exact tactics, strategies, and mindsets you need to fulfill your destiny by helping thousands of people in your community and dominating your market and your life. I'm one of your hosts, Rory Morgan, and I'm here with Jennifer Gligoric and Tracey Sundkvist. By the end of today's episode, you will know how to create your own marketing strategy where you will have it documented out on a one-page document. So we're going to be continuing our episode from last time where we were talking about the first few elements. We talked about the person that you're serving, talked about some of their demographics. We talked about the problem that they have. We talked about the promise that you're making to them. We talked about a few of these things. What we want to pick it up with now is the concept of root cause. So we talked about the problem. Now, the thing with the businesses that we deal with, when we're in the service industry, when we have a service-based business, and especially in healthcare, health and wellness, we're dealing with things like pain. We're dealing with things like weight loss. We're dealing with things like skin. And the interesting thing about this is that nobody's ever totally 100% satisfied with that part of their life, right? So people have probably tried chiropractic or physical therapy. Maybe they went and got a couple adjustments at the joint and they didn't get better. Maybe they went and did one spinal decompression and they didn't get better. Maybe they've tried 17 skincare routines. Most people have tried dozens and dozens of diets and they haven't lost the weight, or they lost it and it came back. And so what does that mean? It means that there is a level of skepticism in these industries. It's a little bit of skepticism towards you as the practitioner or towards the industry in general. But even deeper than that, they don't necessarily trust themselves. Okay, so they doubt that they're going to get the results. So this root cause idea is a huge differentiator. Here's the first example I'll give you. P90X is the best-selling fitness program of all time, over $1 billion in sales. And they knew, hey, we're selling to this health and wellness marketplace. All these people that we're selling to, they've tried to lose weight in the past and it didn't work. And so they looked at that and they said, okay, so like if we're just going to come out and say, hey, you're overweight, we can help you lose weight. If that's the problem and the promise, well, that's not going to, because it's the same problem and the same promise that anyone else is making. So how do we sit here and how do we help the people understand the problem in a new way? What they did is they said, okay, what most people's experience is they start the new diet or they start the new fitness program or they get the gym at the beginning they get the gym membership at the beginning of the year and they go start working out and they start losing weight for a few weeks. But after 5 or 6 weeks, they plateau, right? And most people have had that experience. So P90X taps into that, and instead of just saying we can help you get fit and lose weight, they lean into that idea and they say everybody's lost weight before. It's not, the problem isn't losing weight. The problem is that you plateau. Every 5 or 6 weeks you plateau because your body adapts to the fitness that you're doing. So that's kind of the root cause, right? So instead of just saying we can help you lose weight, it's how do you lose a ton of weight and actually achieve the ideal body? And the root cause of why you've never been able to do that before is because your body adapts to the program. But then they can introduce their unique mechanism and they can say, but we have this unique thing called muscle confusion. And every 6 weeks we switch up the workouts. So hopefully what you're tracking there as I explain that is that you give the person a completely new way of thinking about their issue. Right? They think about the problem differently. So if a person comes into a chiropractor's office and that's all they're thinking is my back hurts because I need to, I just haven't been adjusted recently.
Or I had an injury. Or I had a child, and after, during that pregnancy, that happens a lot. All of a sudden I got sciatic, right? So they feel like that's the root cause. The root cause was this injury or that. But you want to take it one step further and go, no, well, there's inflammation, there's a misalignment, and Roy, you can take it farther to that real root cause.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, like, I think the point I was trying to get at is just like, if it's at that surface level, they're just going to think like, okay, like, just give me a couple adjustments and I'll get out of pain, right? Or again, skincare. Oh yeah, just give me the one treatment and my skin will be perfect, right? And you stay in the realm of being a commodity. Okay. Now, to go back to the chiropractic example, they need to reach the understanding of, hey, how come I don't get better? How come the back pain is chronic and reoccurring? How come it's progressively degenerating over time and becoming more frequent? So compare back to P90X. Well, how come you had the experience where you started to lose weight, but then you plateaued, right? So we're putting this position of like, well, why is it not getting better? Well, why does it keep coming back? Well, has anyone ever showed you before that there is a correct and healthy natural shape of the spine? And when you lose that shape and the shape begins to degenerate and the space in between the bones begins to degenerate, that it actually, that's what causes the pain. And until you correct the shape and the spacing in between the bones, the pain's never going to go away, or it will go away shortly and then come back again, right? So root cause becomes degeneration.
I think what stands out for me here, Rory, is that what this is doing very effectively is it is putting in a value add in the process that walks away from somebody coming in and saying, these are all my symptoms, and then the doc saying, well, fine, this is what we can do for you. Instead of having that, almost like that mismatched kind of a transactional approach, what's actually happening here is they're coming in with a bunch of symptoms, and the doc is actually taking them through a process where they can understand the value. You're setting up the value that you're going to position, and the way that you do that is to help them understand their problem, as you said, Rory, in a new way, but in a way that it makes sense for a layman. Right? When you get to root cause, you're not going to use technical terms and explanations. You use language that a 12-year-old can understand. Because in that way, the individual can all of a sudden understand, oh my God, no wonder this never worked. No wonder I never got results, because all of these things weren't being taken care of. So
yes.
Since marketing, it's the language, learning the language of being able to express value, understanding and communicating that root cause effectively. It doesn't need to take 10 hours. You need to get in there fast. You need to make it clear and articulate, but to the point. And this adds a tremendous amount of value to the person on the other side, whether they sign up or not, because they will never forget that you were the place where for the first time they actually understood what was going on for them.
And the point I want to make is I think that when we speak to clinicians, doctors, clinic owners, I think everyone sort of intuitively knows this. Well, like, yeah, we solve the root cause. Okay. And they think that's what they already are doing. And the point I want to make is what you should be trying to learn right now and what you should be writing down is how to communicate it so that your patient understands it. Because the problem is, if the patient's mind stays in the place of, well, I just need some adjustments to get out of pain, then they're not going to be signing up for a care plan. Or I just need some Botox, or I just need this injection, or whatever it is. What they need to see is what's causing my pain is structural, so I must correct the structure. What's causing my unwanted weight gain is, and we can get into some of the other aspects of what your root causes there might be, but they have to say, I'm solving the root cause, not I'm getting out of pain. So you've got to take them a level below, I want to get out of pain, to I want to solve the cause of my pain. And you can infuse this into your ads without sounding technical and jargon. You can infuse this into your nurturing videos without using technical jargon, without using doctor speak. You can have the person tell you, I don't want a quick fix. I want to solve the root cause, right? because you've educated them and you've made it clear that that's what you do. So I think that's probably enough on root cause. If you're like, how do I get deeper on that? How do I get better at this? The best place to go would be to go to the superclinicproject.com. It's not it's just superclinicproject.com. And there's a link there to sign up for our mastermind where we'll teach you how to do this. You can try that for 14 days for free. So that's what I would recommend if you want to go deeper on really getting, hey, how do I communicate root cause so that my marketplace is saying, hey, take care of the real issue. I don't want a quick fix. I want the real issue. So, okay, the next aspect is proven process. Now, what your proven process is the how you solve the root cause. So your prospect, your patient needs to be like, I want to solve the root cause. Now you need to prove to them, well, I have this unique way of actually solving the root cause. Now, let me give you a couple examples, right? What most people do that would be wrong is to say, we're going to do 24 adjustments. We're going to do 12 decompression sessions. We're going to do 8 soft wave treatments. We're going to do these exercises, and you're going to do this at home. And you're going to give them a bunch of detail. And you're going to be like, yeah, it's 100 for this, 100 per visit for this, and 50 for this. And you're adding up all the price, and you're trying to build all of this value because you're giving them so many things.
And I just wanted to come in and say, what you're doing is you're Grouponing your experience. When you start adding all these numbers, they start wanting to shop it. They're going to shop that shockwave. They're going to shop that GLP-1. They're going to shop the vitamin shots, whatever you're giving them, they're going to shop it, and they're going to say, well, I can use this Groupon special over here and over here. And before you know it, they've decided they're going to go to 10 different places, and they're going to save so much money. And in the end, they're not getting to what they really want.
Yeah.
So it doesn't give them at all the what's in it for them. So you don't want to do that. You don't want them to be tired and exhausted with all this stuff. That is post-sale. Stop doing that and just stick to what Rory's about to say, which is quickly and easily telling them this is what's in it for you.
Exactly. So if we think about some examples, so I kind of gave you, this would be a bad example, right, of a proven process. You want to think of the proven process in terms of like, what is my way of showing them that I am following a system that I can name it and claim it, right? Like, it's just like real neat and tidy. Like, it's something you can grab off the shelf and be like, that's the XYZ process, right? So my last name's Morgan, so I could call it the Morgan method, or I could say that it's the R4 challenge because my name's Rory, and maybe my steps are going to be like repair, restore, regenerate, revitalize, right? And those are the names of my steps, right? And so I can kind of make it sound gimmicky a little bit. It sounds like, oh, that's the R4 method. Interesting. Tell me about the R4 method, because nobody else has the R4 method, right? So basically, you can do that with anything, right? So your steps might be, chiropractic adjustments, soft wave treatments, spinal decompression, and therapy exercises, right? Those might be what your steps are. That might be what the treatments are, but that doesn't really communicate to them that this solves the root cause. What it communicates to them is, I have a bunch of treatments and services that I'm going to sell you. So just to give you, I want to take a boring example, not necessarily boring, but simplistic. And let's just say that you're a chiropractor and you don't do anything besides chiropractic adjustments, right? There's no massage, there's no new modalities. It's just like you adjust the spine, okay? And you are selling someone they want to get out of pain, and they believe in the root cause, and they want to fix the root cause. So, gosh, what should we call it? Let's call it the S3, and the S stands for, my name is Steve, and I'm fixing subluxations, and I live in Sarasota. So there's my, Jennifer, you didn't like that?
I think it's fun. No, we're going for it. We're going for it.
Yeah.
You can do this with anything. We're experts.
But the reality is that's all I do is chiropractic adjustments, right? So how can I make this like a methodology? Well, stage 1 of the 3S method, stage 1 is going to be mobility, right? So I take them through the exam and I show them that hey, I do this in my orthopedic exam, I've got my x-rays, and I show them, here is where your spine has lost correct structure. It should be shaped like this, but you can see it's straightened out. And when we do the orthopedic exam, what we can see is this joint and this joint are no longer moving. They're basically stiff and they're locked up. So stage 1 is to introduce mobility. And I'm going to focus my adjustments. We're going to do 3 adjustments a week for the first 2 weeks. I need you to come in a little bit more often because I really have to introduce movement into that joint. And the thing is, if we don't introduce movement, you're never going to clear the inflammation and you're never going to get it into a state where it can actually correct. Does that make sense? Great. Stage 2 is going to be correction. Now I'm going to change my adjustments a little bit here where it's going to be more focused on restoring the correct structure of the spine. So now that we've got them moving, we need to kind of reset the positioning and the structure as we do our adjustments so that you can then start to have a new shape to the spine where you're going to have that, you're going to be able to maintain proper mobility and those joints won't be stuck anymore. Does that make sense? Okay, excellent. The final stage is actually going to be about retaining that. And we're going to introduce a concept that we call spinal hygiene. And we're going to introduce with a slightly tailored adjustment, but we're also going to be introducing some simple corrective exercises where we keep a certain amount of movement and build up a certain amount of strength so that you can maintain that shape long term. And if we do it in this specific order, you're going to get fantastic results. Does that all make sense? So what I tried to do is just take the most simple example I could, and I explained it in very basic, 6th grader language, and showed you how I have a unique process, the S3 method, with 3 stages for subluxation by Steve in Sarasota. So, okay, so that's a pretty good example, I think, of proven process, right? So, point is like they can't go shop for the R3 method. They can't go shop for the Morgan method or whatever. It's a specific thing. Okay. So far we've talked about the person. We've talked about their problem. We've talked about the promise that you're making that you can solve that problem. We've talked about the root cause of the problem. We've talked about the proven process. Now, what the proven process is it's basically taking the promise that you're making. So that promise is, hey, I can solve this problem and give you this result. And the proven process is the how. How do you solve it? Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to go into the core offer, which is to combine basically the promise with the proven process. Okay, so I will solve your problem. I will give you this result with this method. And that the core offer is the big, expensive thing that you sell that delivers the result. So
I'd like to do this one. Can I do this one?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, so let's say that they come in and I'm going to start like, hey doc, what do you do? Well, I exist to get people out of Galveston, people who are suffering from pain in Galveston out of pain so they can live the life they love without surgery or without medications. Well, how do you do that? Well, I have this incredible 3S method that was taught to me by Steve from Sarasota. No, but I have the 3S method, and we are going to get you stable. We're going to get you mobile, and we're going to get you, what was the last one, whatever that is, right? And then at the end, you'll be able to do what you want to do and be out of pain, right? Bing, bang, boom. That was a very easy one. And then we go into the price. So you see, I didn't overwhelm them. I just kind of went through it. For example, one of them I used to do, we sell air. We're the only provider of liquid O2 in, Oklahoma or North Texas. Well, how do you do that? We provide canisters that don't need any electricity whatsoever. They never get clogged up with dust or dog hair. You're completely mobile. So if you're a doctor and you have a patient, they'll never die being hooked up to a concentrator because they lost power, they couldn't pay the bill, or they couldn't get it cleaned. Well, sign me up. You see how quick that was? I didn't go in through all the benefits and the percentages and everything else. I went to the end. So it's a real easy, tight process when you do it this way. And then
Yeah.
you get people nodding like this. That's what I want, because it's all about what's in it for them.
So the standard way of kind of breaking it down in your mind is going to be high level promise. So you think about that as this process will take you from XYZ, their current state, whatever that is, like in pain, overweight, unhappy with their skin, whatever it is, to future state, desired state, dream outcome, right? So you think that through. You just write out the high level promise. From this to this is basically the promise you're making. With step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, proven process. That's the core offer. Then you're going to attach the price, what you charge. So in a minute, we'll talk about your front end offer because that's different, but I want to just attach price to your core offer. Needs to be high ticket. If you're going to run a service business and you're going to do paid advertising, there is a cost of acquiring patients. When you pay Facebook, you pay Instagram, well, that's the same company, but you pay TikTok, you're paying Google, whoever it is. When you go out there and you pay to get these patients, there's money being spent. You also have to spend money to deliver the services. There has to be margin built in. Okay. So we won't get into why the margins matter, but at the end of the day, when you pay employees, when you have a manager, right, these things eat into your margin. And so you have to develop this in a way that you're charging a bare minimum for any of the industries we're talking about, 2,500, but realistically, we should be in the range of 4,000 to 10,000 for a lot of the people that we speak with, right? I think the point I would make is if you're not selling treatments and services and people truly believe that they are solving the root cause and getting their outcome, their dream outcome, they're willing to pay 3 or 4 or 5 times more than you're charging. It's only when you're selling commodities and you're commoditizing yourself where they think they're buying treatments and services, that's when you end up having to worry about pricing.
People will pay for value. And ultimately, those are the kind of patients that you want to attract. You want to attract people who are committed to achieving that outcome. The outcome is important to them. Not just, well, I'm going to try this a couple of times and when I start to feel better, I'm just going to not do it. You want people who are committed because those are the ones that you're going to be able to impact more powerfully. But at the same time, you need to be able to own that value, because if you do not believe that your price is, you're too cheap, right? I mean, when I say you're too cheap, you should be giving a huge figure and you should be thinking, wow, I should be charging a lot more, and owning that, being proud of that, because you are able to achieve outcomes that very, very few people can do, because you're targeting it at the right patient with the right set of kind of priorities for themselves. So typically, practice owners need to get very comfortable with that figure, because if you think that the figure is too big, there's no way on God's green earth you're going to be able to sell that to anybody, because they're going to pick it up, right?
Yeah.
It has to be consistent. So you have to challenge the way that you're thinking about value. It starts with you. And when you get it, you're going to be able to do this super easy, and you're happy and they're happy because they get what they want, what they need.
And we're able to say this, we don't want people going, man, but people are struggling right now. We're going into the recession. There's a lot of fear that's out there, but we're talking to clinic owners. You're helping people. Every single one of the people that are our core audience right now, all of y'all that are listening, you're literally changing someone's life. You're giving them years on their life. You're allowing them to enjoy every single day better, whether it's from losing weight or looking like I look like on the outside the way I feel on the inside. I'm no longer self-conscious. I can go and ask for that raise or give that speech because I feel great. I feel like I look great. So the industry we're talking about, you are all undercharging. And I understand you get patients who are like, I can't afford it. I'm sick. I'm this. And I'm going to tell you that is not true. Right? People put up walls, especially if they don't feel there's any value in it, especially if they don't trust you or you haven't built the value. But when if you can build that value, that same person that would have told you no is saying, okay, let's go through financing because I need to get to the end of that. Because I guarantee you, having owned a travel agency, I saw people dropping 5 to 15, 20 grand who were on Medicaid or Medicare for a cruise. all the time. And they had value in that. We're going to get the matching shirts. This is a family thing. And that was a one-time event. And you cannot tell me or convince me that if we could get them out of pain so they could enjoy 100 cruises much more and actually do things on them, that they wouldn't do that if they actually believed and trusted. So everything we're telling you is to build that value and trust. You've got to change your mindset on that.
100%. So that's, yeah, I think we have emphasized this on almost every episode, but it's like that is the switch, right? Like the thinking about it differently. That is the shift, right? And we've talked about hiring on previous episodes. Like, you've got to shift your employees' mindset around this, right? And if they won't shift, then you've got to hire someone new, right? At the end of the day, this is the big difference. And so, yeah, there's no avoiding that. So let's talk about, actually, real quick, I do want to give you, how do you present the price? I recommend two options. First option is paid in full. Second option is a credit option, right? So you want to have your care credit, your Cherry or whatever company you might be using, and you want to integrate this very well. So you want to offer probably like a large, like 20% discount for paying in full cash, or you want to offer a low monthly payment. Right. And so the way you would do that is say something along the lines of like, when you're writing your document, you're going to write these pricing options out. Right. But it's going to sound something when you say it, something along the lines of like, okay, so we have two. So the price for everything is $4,500. Nobody really pays that, just so you know. But we have a couple options that we can get started with. Number one, most popular, is what most people are doing is just paying for it in full. If you have the room on a credit card or you've got the cash, a lot of people will use their health savings accounts for this, but we give you 20% off. So with the normal price being $4,500, that would bring it to $3,600 today for you. And then the option number two, which is almost just as popular, is we have financing available, and just depending on what you qualify for, your payments could be as low as $188 a month. Which one of those works best for you? So you give them those two options. Either way, you are getting paid in full, right? You're using third-party financing, or they're actually paying the cash right up front. Okay, that's that. Next thing is to talk about the front-end offer. So how is the front-end offer different than the core offer? Core offer is sold at the point at which you have taken them through your sales process. You're trying to this is where you make the bulk of your money as a business owner. Front-end offer is something lower barrier. How do we get them in the door and interested to take the first step and even have a conversation with us to go through our sales process? Well, we've got to entice them somehow. We have to have some, a carrot that we can dangle for people. And I'll give you a few just recommendations, right? As we have talked about, you don't want to sound the same as everyone. So the first thing is, instead of saying like new patient special or $8 a unit Botox, or what else is there? I don't know. I mean, it's just like all the different versions, half off your first M Sculpt or whatever. Instead of doing that, what you want to do is something along the lines of like a 2-day back pain relief challenge. Think of like challenges, fast starts, jump starts. Right. So it's like you same way that we want to come up with like a core offer where it's like a package that you're buying. You want to almost like package up your front end offer to think, oh, this is like I'm basically like buying a product, right? It's an experience that I'm purchasing, right? Like, if it's like the day at the zoo, you can probably go buy a Groupon to go to the zoo to get, 2 passes to the zoo plus lunch, plus the t-shirt and the hat and a lollipop for the kid or something, right? Like it's like this program, but you're not calling it your new patient special anymore. You're calling it the challenge, the jump start, the fast start, something like that. So it could be the New Year's back pain relief challenge, fit for summer back pain relief challenge, right? Anything, back pain relief jumpstart, the regenerate, disc regeneration jumpstart, anything like that, where you can offer this program or this package rather than just saying, hey, here's our $49 new patient special. Again, you're keeping yourself from being commoditized. as we always talk about.
Yeah, and if you're a med spa, you could do a turn back time, turn back time special where they can get to try your revolutionary, anti-aging process. Oh,
Yeah.
Get started for only $21. And
Yeah.
the idea is it's not to make money off of this small front end offer. The idea is, how do we get people in here to where they can get introduced to our ecosystem, our method, how we do it, to find out more about them so that they can see that if they come in and, in our talks with them and they're like, well, I don't like this about my face or this and this and this. Well, what do you really want? Well, I really want to just look refreshed. I have a wedding coming up in 6 months and I have pictures, and I just feel like there's got to be some way I can look better without surgery. Well, guess what? That's what we're going to, and then you take them down your core offer. And before you know it, they came in for 21, they're leaving with a $3,500 package. And in 3 months, they're going to go, I'm going to look so great at that wedding. And they're going to be thrilled.
Yep.
Yeah. So many of our practice owners feel that the front end offer devalues them as a practice. So because you're positioning something and it's typically under $100. It's usually, the closer to the lower end you can get, the better, because what you're really doing with the front end offer is you're getting them beyond the scroll. So first you need to stop them from scrolling. They need to know, this is for me. Wow, that sounds great. And the second thing is to take action before they necessarily would. So it's not as though they're going and Googling searches for, I want to look I want to feel 6 years younger, or I want to go and take care of my back pain. I mean, they may not have got to that buying decision yet. You're kind of jumping the gun on that. And that is why the front end offer needs to be such an amazing deal, because you need them to take action before they've naturally got there. The other thing is that this is in no way a reflection on the service, on the experience of the practice owners. The only reason you're doing this is to get them to take action and to come in and experience just how absolutely amazing you are. Right? Mm-hmm. It's not to say we are the cheapest in town, so we're just going to do shortcuts. It's absolutely not. It's like, hey, come and get a taster of all of the incredible things and all of the wonderful ways we can help our patients, and you're going to get it for this insanely low price because you know what? We're just that good.
Yeah, there are luxury 5-star Michelin hotels that will still go and do little bitty pop-up events where for $5 you can do samples of their thing. Do you think that makes people think that they're any less of a 5-star Michelin world-class experience? No, it's a way for people to go, maybe this would be a bucket list thing to do. Maybe we should save up for this. This would be perfect for our 50th.
Yeah, and I think that the point I always make to people too is, like, the people that you think you're devaluing your practice to don't hold you in any place of value, right? So it's not like they're thinking, oh yeah, this guy's worth, hundreds of thousands of dollars. I would just never be able to afford him. Their value for you is zero. So if you offer it for $5, that's $5 more than they thought it was going to be, right? Like it's just, it really just is not a valid point. So, okay. So we want to talk about, I think we've talked about price. Okay. So last thing would be vibe and differentiators. With vibe and differentiators, I need to make 2 points. The first point is, if you say, hey, what really makes us feel different? How is our experience different? What is the things that we do that it's like, man, this is way different than anyone else? If what you say is we treat people like family, we really love our patients, we really care more than other people, what you are saying is we are exactly like everyone else. Because I've seen thousands of people, and when I ask them, what is it that makes you different? That's what they all say. Every single one says that. So that means it isn't different. The feeling at your clinic is exactly the same feeling as everyone else's clinic. So the question then is, well, what can I do different? I think the best way to give you some ideas about this are to think about other businesses. Before I go into the other businesses, a couple other unique ideas, because I know some, like, these businesses are going to be out of the box for most people. But like, what if you actually, for some of these easier ways of creating the vibe, what if you literally gave every single person that walked into your office a gift, right? Like a real gift. Like it's like a stuffed animal that is like the teddy bear for, that kind of represents your office in some way. Like that's memorable. It's different, right? We talked about in previous episodes about the Five Guys example. of like, they put extra fries in the bag. That's part of the vibe and the experience they're creating. Now let's talk about a couple other businesses, and these are going to be different. Dick's Last Resort, we've talked about them before. They create a vibe and an experience where they're insulting people, and it's different. Like it's a very distinct experience. It's differentiated. Hooters, not a good product, not good food. People aren't going for the food. They have created an experience that people love and are willing to pay for that has to do with the way the waitresses are dressed and their bodies, right? Like, right or wrong, love it or hate it. They've intentionally created that. They are selling food, but people aren't going for the food. And I know of clinics that operate on the same methodology, right? Like, they hire very young, attractive women. They are instructed to dress in a certain way, and it's part of the vibe they are creating.
Yeah, med spas are one. When you walk into most, it depends on what type of med spa, but if you have higher end med spas, there is going to be a certain aesthetic for that med spa. For example, like here's one example of an actual clinic. It's a physical therapy clinic. Their colors are black, silver, and with atomic orange accents. They have a lot of like chrome and steel. When you walk in, you see tons of actual athletes, black and white portraits, and they usually have a very motivational quote next to them. And then right behind the front desk, which is a really nice, modern, sleek front desk, it's like the ultimate of human excellence of peak performance. Something like that is our goal. And all the PTs look like athletes or look like trainers, and they have really great equipment. Now, when you get to that vibe and you're there on a walker and you're like, wow, I'm in the wrong place, they're not even set up for me. But if you were a high school kid and with your parents would go, well, you said you wanted to get scouted. This is the place to go to get past your injury. That's a vibe. Another vibe is if you say things like state of the art or very modern, and we always make the joke, don't have a rotary phone, don't have, don't have something dripping from the ceiling. That's going to be a disconnect. The walls are going to go up because you lied, right? And so you want it to be realistic, whatever your vibe is. Some people's vibe is we are very cozy and homey. You're going to have muted colors, macrame. For a therapist's office, and those are the people you're helping people recover from trauma, if that's what you're doing, that's a great vibe. Put that vibe out there, right? But think about the vibe in your ads and who you're hiring. You want it to be consistent. You want their head to be going like this. This is exactly what I thought it would be, because that's building trust.
The final piece of advice I would give here, rather than giving more examples, would be turn it up to 11, right? So what a lot of people do is like, oh yeah, okay. So like, like we really like working with athletes and we really like sports around here. So they like put one picture of an athlete on the wall, like, or like, we're kind of a little bit more like new agey, more sort of like a little bit, yoga and spirituality. And so they put namaste on the wall but like nothing else, right? Like it's like, no, lean into it. Own it, like go over the top. And when you think you're going over the top, what you're going to find is it's actually just a little bit more than normal, right? Like you need to turn your personality up to 11 when you make your ads. Turn your personality up to 11 when you design your office. Like go all in, and don't just think like, oh yeah, we made a gift and we give people a gift. It's like, no. Like you've got to be all about it and really go for it. So, with that, I think we can conclude this one, and we're going to, in the next episode, what we'll do is we'll talk about how to create ads with this strategy. So yeah, with that, go to superclinicproject.com. You can subscribe to the podcast there, but most importantly, pay the fee for this podcast, because it is free monetarily, but it is not free in actuality, because you are required to go send this to a friend. Send it via email, send it via text message, post a link to the show in your social media and tell people how awesome it is. If this is helping you understand how to run your business, please pay it forward. Also, you can join our mastermind for free for 14 days where you can learn how we do this stuff, right? If you want to get deeper, it's just superclinicproject.com, and there will be a link there to join that mastermind. So with that being said, we'll see you guys on the next episode. Have a good one.
You've been listening to the Super Clinic Project podcast. If you like what you hear, subscribe and stay tuned for further episodes of the Super Clinic Project podcast.